The millionaire's mansion in San Jose, California, stood majestically amidst a vast estate, surrounded by a lush garden that seemed straight out of a fairy tale. The sun shone brightly, reflecting off the crystal-clear waters of the dazzling pool, irresistibly inviting guests to cool off on a hot day. Nearby, the labyrinthine garden stretched out in a maze of winding paths, filled with well-manicured shrubs and colorful flowers, creating a perfect setting for conversations and laughter. Among the exotic trees of the mansion, a native tree from the Atlantic forest stood out. A magnificent Brazilwood tree, with its red wood and shiny green leaves, serving as a testament to Brazil's rich biodiversity. Guests admired the beauty of the place, while some wondered about the history of that iconic tree. Brazil is the only country in the world named after a tree. The host of the party, a charismatic millionaire known for his refined taste and generosity, greeted his friends with enthusiasm. By his side was his wife, an elegant woman with a radiant smile that lit up the room. Together, they were the heart of the celebration, ready to enjoy a weekend filled with fun. The couple's warmth was simply irresistible. None of the guests declined the invitation for the weekend. Everyone accepted without hesitation. Needless to say, some even canceled prior engagements just to be in the company of the couple who had recently returned from Egypt. The guests spread out across the space. Some took a dip in the pool while others explored the garden maze. Laughter and lively conversations filled the air, creating a vibrant and welcoming atmosphere. The aroma of delicious food wafted from the kitchen, where chefs were preparing sophisticated dishes for the occasion. Amid all this excitement was Chicker, or simply Chick, the family's adorable Cocker Spaniel, joyfully running among the guests and observing everything with keen attention. More than just a pet, Chick was an integral part of the family and was always present for special moments. With his bright eyes and wagging tail, he seemed to soak up the joy around him, happily engaging in every interaction. Chicory got his name from the millionaire during a trip to Africa, where he saw a dog with the same name, meaning God created, a reference to the creation of something radiant. Chick watched everything with curiosity, his ears perked up, and his bright eyes capturing every movement around him. As everyone gathered to celebrate, the mansion buzzed with life and happiness. Yet beneath this radiant surface, something was about to change. A mystery that would challenge the trust among the guests and test the bonds of family. With so many guests gathered in such a perfect setting, what could possibly threaten the harmony of this long-anticipated celebration? Before continuing, just take a quick look to check if you're already subscribed to the channel, so you don't miss out on the exciting stories that will touch your heart. A long time ago, in an unforgettable moment in the millionaire's wife's memory, she received a rare and very valuable jewel, a gift he managed to buy after a long search. It was a significant occasion, filled with emotion and anticipation. The millionaire had planned that moment with great care, knowing that the jewel would mean a lot to his beloved. Decades ago, they were alone on a paradise beach, in a moment of pure intimacy with only the moon as a witness. He promised that one day he would find a jewel that represented that moment, and he found it. When she gently opened the delicately wrapped box, her eyes lit up upon seeing the gleaming jewel inside. It was a magnificent necklace, adorned with precious stones that sparkled intensely under the soft light of the room. The beauty of the piece was unparalleled, and as she gazed at it, a radiant smile formed on her face. She couldn't hold back the tears of happiness that streamed down her cheeks, reflecting the joy she felt in that moment. Chikur watched the moment with total attention and admiration. The dog was near his owner, his ears perked up, and his bright eyes capturing every detail of the scene. He stored the special moment in his memory, knowing that the jewel was not just a valuable object. It represented the love and trust that united the couple. Chick knew he could be there, among them, as an invisible observer. He was part of that scene. The jewel was more than a gift. It was a symbol of their enduring love. The millionaire had chosen each detail carefully, aware that this piece would serve as a constant reminder of the happy moments they had shared over the years, especially that night on the beach. As he looked at the expression of joy on his wife's face, he knew he had made the right choice. While she admired the gleaming jewel now hanging around her neck, Chicory moved even closer, seeking affection and attention. The dog seemed to understand the importance of that moment and shared in the family's happiness. The scene was perfect. Love, joy, and the promise of a future together, symbolized by the jewel now shining above his wife's heart. Before continuing, have you left your like on this video? This ensures you won't miss the next exciting story that will touch your heart. The sun was beginning to set in San Jose, casting a golden light over the millionaire's mansion, which was ready to welcome the guests. The couple had planned a special party for that Saturday afternoon, with the expectation of celebrating friendship and family bonds in a relaxed and joyful atmosphere. Soft music filled the air as guests arrived, admiring the beauty of the maze-like garden and the gleaming pool. The wife, excited for the celebration, decided to wear the rare jewel her husband had given her. With a smile on her face, she eagerly went upstairs to get ready. Upon arriving there, she carefully took the necklace out of the box where it was kept and placed it around her neck, but had not yet fastened it. The gleaming necklace highlighted her elegance, reflecting the soft lights of the room. She looked at herself in the mirror, feeling confident and radiant. However, as she prepared to go back downstairs and join the guests, the excitement of the party distracted her. Amid the laughter and noise from below, she forgot to put the jewel on and left it on the dresser, shining alone under the light in the room. Meanwhile, the mansion's butler continued to take care of the party details. He moved among the guests with skill, ensuring that everyone was comfortable and well served. Laughter and lively conversations filled the air as people dove into the pool or explored the garden maze. When the wife finally came downstairs again, feeling refreshed and ready to enjoy the party, a relaxed mood quickly turned into worry. After a few hours of celebration, she realized she wasn't wearing the necklace. A cold sensation ran through her as she remembered leaving the jewel on the dresser. As she rushed back to the room, her heart raced when she saw that the necklace was no longer there. Panic took over her as she realized that the jewel had mysteriously disappeared. With a pale and restless expression, she ran back to where the guests were gathered. When she shared the news with her husband and friends, a wave of confusion swept through the group. Everyone fell silent for a moment, trying to process what had happened. How could something so valuable just vanish without a trace? The festive atmosphere quickly turned into evident tension. Laughter was silenced, and worried glances began to exchange. Curiosity and concern grew among the guests as they started to speculate about the jewel's disappearance. Some suggested it might have been an accident. Others feared that someone could have acted maliciously. The conversation intensified as everyone tried to recall anything suspicious that might have happened during the party. The butler, noticing the change in the mood of the party, tried to keep calm and suggested that everyone sit down to discuss what had happened. However, questions began to arise. Who was near the room? Did anyone see something unusual? Uncertainty hung in the air like a heavy cloud as everyone tried to understand how something so precious could have disappeared in an instant. Some were curious to learn more about the jewel. The last thing they were thinking about was money and jewels. The tension in the mansion mounted as the guests gathered in small groups, discussing the jewel's disappearance. The millionaire's wife, visibly shaken, tried to keep her composure while her husband spoke with some friends about what should be done. After a few minutes of murmurs and speculations, one of the guests suggested, "We should call the police. This can't be ignored." The idea of involving the police brought a new level of seriousness to the situation. Everyone agreed that something so valuable couldn't just vanish without a proper investigation. The butler, who had been attentive to every movement of the guests, was tasked with making the call. He stepped away to ensure that the situation was handled with the necessary discretion. Meanwhile, heated discussions took over the atmosphere. How could something so precious disappear inexplicably at a party full of people? Questioned one of the guests, her voice heavy with disbelief. Others began to reflect on the circumstances. Someone must have seen something suspicious, suggested another guest, as wary glances were exchanged among those present. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense. The laughter and lively conversations that once filled the air had now given way to an air of distrust and apprehension. The guests were trying to understand what had really happened, and wondered if someone among them might be involved in the jewel's disappearance. "We need to remember who was near the room," said a man, trying to organize the group's thoughts. "Someone might have come in without us noticing." Speculations continued, and each guest seemed to have a different theory about what could have happened. As they awaited the arrival of the police, everyone felt restless, as if the jewel's disappearance had shattered the trust that existed among them. The festive mood had been replaced by a feeling of discomfort and uncertainty, and each passing minute seemed to heighten the anxiety in the air. The anticipation for the officers' arrival was awkward. However, everyone there knew they weren't just any guests. Each one was invaluable to the couple, and it wasn't a jewel that would shake their friendship. The police arrived at the mansion, and the sound of the squad car's radios filled the air as the officers prepared to investigate the jewel's disappearance. The guests, still uneasy, were instructed to gather in the living room, where the atmosphere was thick with anticipation and anxiety. The millionaire and his wife looked visibly worried, especially about the discomfort their friends were experiencing. It was a completely unexpected situation, entirely out of context. As the officers began to ask questions, one of the officers informed everyone that the security cameras had been turned off by the house's security team due to maintenance technical issues. There had been no concern for security cameras for the occasion on the part of the homeowners. The cameras were focused on external intrusions, never for anything that could happen within the property. The lack of recordings made the investigation even more complicated and heightened the feeling of distrust. The butler, always eager to help, offered to assist the police in gathering information about the guests and the layout of the house. However, his nervous behavior did not go unnoticed. He avoided eye contact and seemed to hesitate when answering some questions, raising suspicions among those present. "Why is he so nervous?" whispered one guest to another as they watched the butler suspiciously. During the investigation, one man caught the attention of the police, a janitor who had been assigned to maintain the upper floor of the mansion. All staff members had free access to the property. However, this particular man was specifically called to that part of the house, right where the jewel had gone missing. A preliminary investigation revealed that the man was carrying fake documents, and he quickly explained his desperate situation. He needed the job to support his family, and had made a mistake by trying to get work at the mansion with false papers. Upon learning that the police would take the man in for further questioning, the millionaire decided to intervene. He paid the janitor in cash for his services and informed the police that the man had done an excellent job at the house. "I can't let one mistake ruin someone's life," he said, showing compassion amidst the chaos. Everyone there were invaluable friends of the couple, and they all knew that the janitor wasn't a real threat. At least he hadn't shown any signs of it during his time working in the mansion. As the investigations continued, conversations among the guests intensified. The air was thick with uncertainty. The mystery of the jewel's disappearance deepened, leaving everyone in a state of disbelief. The anticipation for a resolution grew increasingly anxious. It was something inconceivable for a gathering of friends. One thing was on everyone's subconscious. The party would continue regardless. This was all a misunderstanding. Later, the reason for the butler's apprehension upon the arrival of the police was revealed. Some were shocked by what came to light. Chicker, at a precise moment, observed everything closely, sensing that something was wrong in the mansion. While the guests were having fun, and the party continued, he noticed the unease of his owner. She had left the rare jewel forgotten on the dresser in her room, and he couldn't shake the feeling that this distraction could lead to trouble. He recalled the memory of the janitor stealing something from the car with the window open. Certainly, that memory troubled him. Perhaps seeing him in the hallway of the house solidified the dog's thoughts. He remembered the joy of the moment when his owner received the jewel as a gift from her husband. The sparkle in her eyes as she opened the box and admired the shimmering necklace was a memory that warmed his canine heart. For Chick, that jewel was not just a valuable object. It was a symbol of the enduring love between his owners, and he felt a deep need to protect it. As he walked through the house, the memory of the janitor intensified in his mind. During that earlier moment of the stroll, he hadn't understood. the gravity of the situation. But now that memory took on a different meaning. The janitor was in the mansion, and something inside him knew he could pose a threat to the jewel's safety. It was a canine portrait of an object, but one of great sentimental value. With determination, Chick decided to act. He ran down the hallway, toward the room where the jewel was kept. His small paws made little noise on the polished wooden floor as he moved quickly. Upon reaching the door of the room, he hesitated for a moment, but then pushed the door open with his snout and entered. Inside the room, the soft light illuminated the dresser where the jewel sparkled under the sun's reflection. Chick approached the dresser and looked at the gleaming necklace. With care and agility, he gently picked up the jewel in his mouth, determined to take it to a safe place. The dog's protective instinct guided his steps as he left the room, resolved to ensure that nothing happened to that precious piece for his owner. He wouldn't allow anything to threaten the love and security of that cherished feeling he adored so much. Absolutely no one noticed the dog walking through the house with the jewel. Everyone was celebrating, and who would notice a dog with something in its mouth? The tension in the mansion reached its peak when the police arrived to investigate the disappearance of the jewel. The janitor, who had been called in to clarify his fake documents, was being escorted out of the house under the curious and apprehensive gaze of the guests. The festive atmosphere that once filled the air had now transformed into a mix of anxiety and distrust. Meanwhile, Chick-a-Ray, with his heightened protective instincts, watched everything from a discreet corner. He sensed the unease in the air and knew he had to act. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation as everyone turned toward the scene of the man being led away for questioning. It was then, unexpectedly, that Chicory quickly entered the doghouse and emerged with the gleaming jewel in his teeth. The room fell silent instantly. All the guests were stunned to see the dog enter triumphantly, as if he were a hero returning from a mission. The shining jewel reflected the sunlight, creating a dazzling spectacle that seemed to contrast with the tension of the moment. The police investigator, surprised by the scene, couldn't help but comment. This little dog noticed something strange about the security of the jewel and decided to guard it. The words echoed in the minds of the guests as the truth began to unfold before them. Chicory had acted on instinct, protecting what was most precious to his owner. The millionaire's wife, in a state of shock and relief, ran to the dog and gently petted his head with gratitude. Tears of happiness began to fall down her face as she embraced Chicker. The tense atmosphere was quickly replaced by a wave of relief and admiration for the loyal dog. The guests began murmuring among themselves, some nervously laughing while others expressed their disbelief. "How could we doubt him?" one of the friends said, still trying to process what had just happened. The tension that had once hovered over them now slowly dissipated, giving way to laughter and animated conversations. The millionaire looked at his wife and smiled, knowing that Chicory's love and loyalty had saved the day. He turned to the guests and said, "Let's celebrate. The party's not over." His words brought new energy to the group, who soon began laughing and dancing again. Chick, now the center of attention, received affection and praise from all sides. He had proven to be more than just a pet. In the middle of a party, he showed a canine sense of attentiveness. The festive mood was restored in the mansion, as everyone celebrated not only the recovery of the jewel, but also the unwavering loyalty of the dog who had become a true friend that night. The revelation surprised everyone present in the mansion, both friends and staff. Chicory acted purely out of love and loyalty. The atmosphere, once filled with tension and uncertainty, now brimmed with relief and admiration for the dog. The millionaire's wife, with tears of joy in her eyes, looked at Chicker and recognized the invaluable role he played in the family. The millionaire, observing the scene, reaffirmed his love for his wife amidst the celebration of this unexpected moment. He approached her and took her hand, saying, "Nothing is more precious than you, our loyal friend Chick, and all our friends here." His words resonated in the hearts of the guests, who began to realize that true wealth was not just in the jewel, but in the bonds of love and loyalty that united the family. The guests, now feeling more relieved, started to celebrate the dog's loyalty. Laughter and applause filled the air as everyone gathered around Chicory, petting him and praising his bravery. The festive atmosphere was restored in the mansion, and animated conversations resumed. The guests shared stories about their own experiences with loyal pets, creating a sense of camaraderie among them. Chikire, at the center of attention, received affection and love from all sides, proving to be more than just a pet. He was an integral part of the family. As laughter echoed through the mansion, the millionaire looked at his wife and said, "Today, we learned a valuable lesson about love and loyalty." She smiled, knowing that the jewel could be recovered or not, but what truly mattered was the unity of the family and Chikire's devotion. The party continued with music and dancing, but the importance of friendship and loyalty blossomed. Chick became a symbol of the unconditional love that exists between humans and their pets. The festive night was nearing its end, when two more pieces of news sobered up everyone who had been drinking. First, the butler had been apprehensive. When the police arrived, remember? He was scared because he was working in the mansion and for the first time had consumed alcohol while working, something he deemed deplorable due to his respect for his kind employer. And the news of the night. "Do you have a handkerchief?" The millionaire's wife had a revelation that she wasn't going to share unless everything had happened so abruptly. She confessed that she was pregnant for the first time, and it was a boy. She couldn't hold back the emotion any longer. The businessman dropped to his knees and cried deeply. He just let it all out. He never expected to hear this after so many surprises. Get ready to be amazed by what this pit bull did to protect his family in an extreme danger situation. You won't believe it, but Hodge proved that true heroes can have 4 paws. An emotional story that will touch your heart and stay in your memory. Click on the card appearing on your screen.